Very hard. Okay. All right. We have a wide open civic election. At least the mayoralty is wide open with Pat Fiacco's announcement that he won't be running for a record fifth term. And we've already talked to a couple of the candidates that are going to be on the ballot in October. David Loblaw and Jim Elliott were here on the program last week. Michael Fougere, seen by many as the front runner, who's been on council for more than a dozen years, he will be on the show in early March, but I'm pleased to welcome the most recent entry, Chad Novak, who's with me in the studio. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Very good. Okay. Tell us about Chad Novak. Where did he come? What have you done?
Well, I grew up in Moose Jaw. That was my hometown. So, grew up there, went to school there, attended SciAst, graduated out of the accounting program. And then I actually took a work term here in Regina back in the late 90s and fell in love with the city. And I was bound and determined to finally move here. And in 2001, I did that, worked for Revenue Canada for a while, finished my CMA program in 2004, moved back to Moose Jaw for a little bit, and then finally came back in 2008, finally, to make Regina my permanent home from this point forward.
And when did you decide you'd like to take a run at being the mayor?
February 14th.
What? The day that Fiacco bowed out, is that it?
That is exactly it. I actually had full intentions up to that day to run for city council because I've had a long passion for civic politics. And I just want to make that change, hands-on change, and I thought council was the perfect opportunity. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I want to get my feet wet with that, go down the road maybe 2-3 terms as a city councilor, and then consider maybe going for mayor. And then when Mayor Fiacco announced he was stepping down, because I did not want to challenge him because I respect the man. And I thought, well, now or never. And I discussed it with my wife. We had a long, drawn-out discussion about it, and we thought this is the time. So we have to go big or go home, basically.
Go for the gusto, eh?
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay. So what would a Chad Novak campaign stress? What are your main points here?
Well, I'm unveiling my main campaign platform on Monday, March 5th, but just kind of give you an idea of what I'm going to be running on will be, I understand that one of the main hot topics in the city is the Regina Revitalization program. And as long as all the numbers make sense to me, I will be all over that one and actually have plans in the works to take that one step further. And another issue that I know that is a heated issue recently is the affordable housing. And I understand that the province has a lot of say in that, but so does the city. And the city can do some things, and they've done some things in the past, and I think that there's something that we've completely neglected, and that'll be addressed over the next 8 months.
Yeah. Now, the revitalization project, of course, as it began under Pat Fiacco's leadership, the focal point is to be a new stadium. Interesting, the two candidates we've already interviewed on this program, David Loblaw and Jim Elliott, basically favor status quo, not status quo, but rebuilding Mosaic Stadium where it is. Mm-hmm. Not for you?
Unless I go into that office and I see that we're, right now they're saying that we have $750 million in private funding that's going to go towards the $1 billion project. If I get in that office and I find out that it's only $100 million from private coffers, there's no way I'm going back to the taxpayer and saying, mm-hmm. You have to cough up $650 million.
Is there any evidence that you've heard of that there's anything on the table?
Not that I have heard. People have always, been skeptical. Mm-hmm. They're always saying, well, I don't think we have $750 million. That's crazy. Well, honestly, from an outsider's perspective, I think it's actually possible. And I want to see the internal documents to make sure that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So
interesting, though. Why, if a company was to step forward with a huge commitment here, why wouldn't they want to be public about it? What, if it was Potash Corp or somebody like that? Makes you wonder when there's nothing come forward so far.
Well, I think I don't know all of the goings-on around City Hall. I'm still very, very, very new to this whole thing, and I will admit that publicly. But I think that there's probably some strategic maneuvering with that as far as, I think if one company announced that, yes, I want to give you X million dollars, then another company could say, well, hey, here's plus 10. I think maybe that's part of the strategic way they're doing it. I don't know for sure, but...
Okay. Interesting. Fiacco and Michael Fougere, who's running with Pat Fiacco's endorsement, they're saying, this is job one. It's not number one on your list, I don't think, is it?
Well, it will be the number one thing I address when I get into that seat. I want to sit down and look at all the documents, make sure everything makes sense, and if it does, let's go hard for it, and let's push it one step further like I want to. And I think it's important to the City of Regina, not only for the fact that right now the current stadium that we have, we don't use for 8 months of the year. Well, I mean 6 or 8 months depending on the weather. Mm-hmm. That's crazy that we're having a large facility like that we don't have an opportunity to use.
It's true of most stadiums in North America, though, isn't it? Really?
Well, it's getting, especially in Saskatchewan,
Mm-hmm.
I think with our extreme temperatures, we need something to at least protect us from those extreme temperatures.
Yeah, okay. Now, you've been described as the king of the Post-it notes. You don't have any with you today, but
No.
that's what your desk tends to be covered with them, I gather, right?
Pretty much. I'm known as a cheap person, and that can be a good thing and a bad thing. But so, I mean, I know I should invest in a tablet because that would get rid of the Post-it notes, but for now, every time a idea comes to my mind, I write it down because I'm also known for my bad memory. So
yeah, well, that sounds all right. Now, interesting. Reading an article about you in the Leader Post when you announced the other day, and basically the last line: Novak pledges not to increase taxes one iota over the 4-year term. Is it a 4-year term or I guess it's going to be a 4-year term this time? Yeah,
it's 4 years. This is the first time it's going to be 4 years.
That's a pretty bold pledge. How can you do that?
It is very bold, and I think that's probably one of the things that I've been called on the most through online comments and my Facebook page. And to be quite perfectly honest, I am so committed to going through that 4-year term with having 0 tax increases that I am making a personal pledge. If I have to increase taxes, for every 1% that I increase them, I am taking 10% of my personal salary and I'm going to donate it to a charity of the taxpayer's choice. That's how committed I am to that.
Yeah. I mean, municipalities, cities have very limited sources of revenue. Property tax is the main item. And, Regina has been fortunate that we've had a growing tax base. The city is expanding and the property values are going up, so tax revenue goes up. But they've still had a mill rate increase every year for the last 2 or 3 years of 3 or 4%. So pretty hard to imagine going to 0 from that.
I can see that perspective, and I've got 8 months to really figure it all out and make sure everything does make sense. But I will stick to my pledge of 4 years with no tax increases. I'm hoping that if I can prove to the citizens of Regina that I can maintain that and also not cut any services and hopefully make it more efficient. That's my big goal. I'm hoping that they see that and they understand that maybe this guy does know what he's talking about, and maybe we should give him a chance in October, and hopefully in 4 years' time.
This could be a costly effort. What do you figure? Have you got a budget?
It's still early. I'm only a week into the whole campaign, so I've got 8 months to really determine exactly what I want to do in terms of my campaign and in terms of going into the mayor's office. I mean, we're way early in the process.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, like a little over 10 days since you got in, or since you decided you were going to get in, and you got a blog up there which is not even officially released, I guess, yet. What's the response been like so far?
Tremendous, absolutely tremendous. I actually haven't advertised the website address to anybody. Well, I've released it in my media releases, but it hasn't been published. It's novak2012.blogspot.com. And basically, over the last week, I've gotten over 800 people or 800 unique visitors. I'm still new to trying to figure out all these terminologies and everything. But I mean, yeah, people have been going to it, and the primary source has been Google. They've just been Googling my name, Chad Novak Regina, Chad Novak Moose Jaw, and that's how they've been coming to it. So I'm hoping at the press conference I'm going to have it strategically placed in a place that people will see it. And over the next 8 months, it's going to be very prominent, my website address. And also I'm going to have it a hashtag for those people that go on Twitter. I'm still brand new to Twitter, so forgive me if I don't know what's going on.
You're slightly ahead of me on that one. That's good. Well, good luck, and we'll talk to you again, I'm sure, before October.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Chad Novak, the latest